Listen to me carefully. Your silence is not destroying him because you are trying to hurt him. It is destroying the version of him that believed he could hurt you and still have unlimited access to you. It is destroying the comfort he found in your over explaining. It is destroying the confidence he had in your quick forgiveness. It is destroying the little throne he built inside your pain, where he thought one message, one excuse, one soft apology, one I miss you could bring you right back to the place where he left you broken. But hear me before your heart turns this into a game. Silence is not revenge. Silence is not punishment. Silence is not a strategy to make a man chase you. Real silence is recovery. Real silence is discipline. Real silence is what happens when a woman finally stops pouring her soul into a place that keeps draining her. There's a woman listening right now who has said too much to a man who listened too little. She explained the hurt. She explained the coldness. She explained the distance. She explained why his silence felt like rejection. She explained why his mixed signals made her feel unsafe. She explained why his words cut deeper than he wanted to admit. And after all that explaining, she still found herself alone at night, staring at the same conversation, wondering why the man who claimed to care could sleep peacefully while she was falling apart. I need you to understand something. Sometimes your words give him something to fight, but your silence gives him something to face. When you keep talking, he can debate your tone. He can call you emotional. He can say you are overthinking. He can say you always bring things up. He can say he is tired of arguing. He can shift the conversation away from what he did and toward how you reacted. But when you become silent, truly silent, not bitter, not dramatic, not posting pain for him to notice, just still, suddenly there is nothing for him to fight. Now he has to sit with the echo of his own choices. And many men are not prepared for that. They are prepared for your tears. They are prepared for your questions. They are prepared for your paragraphs. They are prepared for you to ask, why did you do this to me? But they are not prepared for the day you stop asking. Because the day a woman stops asking is the day something sacred has shifted. It means she has stopped looking for her worth in the mouth of the man who wounded her. It means she has stopped begging for accountability from someone who had enough chances to show it. It means her heart may still be hurting, but her spirit has finally stood up. That kind of silence speaks louder than any message. And it does not destroy him by attacking him. It destroys his comfort. It destroys his entitlement. It destroys the story he told himself that you would always come back first. There is power in a woman who does not announce her healing. She does not say, watch me move on. She does not say, you will regret this. She does not say, you lost the best thing you had. She simply stops feeding the cycle. She stops answering confusion with more devotion. She stops rewarding inconsistency with instant access. She stops explaining her pain to someone who already understood enough to know better. And that stillness becomes a mirror. A man can ignore your words, but it is harder to ignore the absence of a woman whose presence once made his life easier. Your silence makes him remember the emotional labor he did not appreciate, the way you checked on him, the way you softened yourself when he was distant, the way you forgave before you were fully healed, the way you stayed up late trying to fix what he broke, the way you made room for his wounds while he kept stepping on yours. At first, he may call your silence pride. He may say you changed. He may tell himself you are being cold. He may act like your distance does not matter. Let him. Do not rush to correct the story he needs in order to avoid facing himself. You are not responsible for making your healing look comfortable to the person who benefited from your pain. Understand this. When a woman has loved deeply, her silence is rarely empty. It is full of everything she no longer has the strength to repeat. It is full of the nights she cried quietly. It is full of the messages she deleted. It is full of the apologies she accepted without change. It is full of the times she wanted to leave but stayed because hope kept whispering, maybe this time. So when she finally becomes silent, it is not because she has nothing to say. It is because she has already said it. She said it in tears. She said it in patience. She said it in trembling honesty. She said it in second chances. She said it in the way she kept showing up even while feeling unseen. And if he did not hear her then, She no longer needs to keep destroying herself trying to make him hear her now. There is a moment that happens quietly. No audience sees it. No one claps for it. A woman is sitting on the edge of her bed with her phone in her hand. His name appears on the screen. Not an apology, not accountability, just a message. I miss you. And suddenly her whole body remembers him. Her chest tightens. Her hands get warm. Her mind starts running. Maybe he finally understands. Maybe this is the moment. Maybe this is the sign I was waiting for. She opens the message. She stares at those three words like they are medicine. And the old version of her wants to respond immediately. She wants to say, I miss you too. She wants to ask, then why did you hurt me? She wants to turn those three words into a whole conversation, a whole reunion, a whole future. But then something inside her pauses, something wiser than longing, something stronger than memory. And that voice says, do not confuse being missed with being valued. That is the moment her silence becomes power, not because she is trying to punish him, because she finally understands that I miss you is not the same as I am ready to love you correctly. A man can miss your presence and still not respect your pain. A man can miss your comfort and still not take responsibility for the wound. A man can miss the way you made him feel and still not be mature enough to protect your heart. So she does not respond from hunger. She breathes. She puts the phone down. She lets the wave rise. She lets the wave shake her. She lets the wave pass. And in that private moment, she becomes stronger than the old cycle. That is what silence does. It does not make you heartless. It teaches your heart that every emotional pull does not deserve your obedience. Your silence destroys his soul because it takes away the role he expected you to play. He expected you to keep proving that you cared. He expected you to keep trying to be understood. He expected you to keep chasing the version of him that showed up in the beginning. He expected you to keep holding on to potential, but now you are not arguing with potential. You are looking at the pattern. And patterns do not lie. A man can say he loves you, but does his love make you feel safe? A man can say he misses you, but did he value you when you were present? A man can say he never meant to hurt you, but did he change after he saw the damage? A man can say you are important, but did his choices treat you like something precious? That is where silence becomes wisdom. Because when a woman stops responding to words and starts watching fruit, she becomes difficult to manipulate. Words can be emotional. Fruit is evidence. Words can be beautiful. Fruit is consistent. Words can return at midnight. Fruit shows up in daylight. And a woman who has been hurt cannot afford to live on words alone anymore. She needs evidence. She needs peace. She needs safety. She needs changed behavior, not another moment of softness that disappears when he feels comfortable again. There is a woman who has been here before. He hurt her. She went silent. He came back. He said the right thing. He sounded wounded. He said he could not stop thinking about her. He said he missed her. He said he did not mean to make her feel that way. And because her heart was starving, she opened the door too quickly. For a few days, she felt chosen again. For a few days, she believed the pain had taught him something. Then slowly the old pattern returned, the distance, the excuses. The same tone, the same emotional absence, the same wound wearing a different date. And she realized something that hurt more than the first heartbreak. He had not come back changed. He came back because her silence made him uncomfortable. That is why you must not confuse his discomfort with transformation. A man can miss access without missing your heart. A man can miss your attention without respecting your feelings. A man can miss your warmth without becoming safe for your softness. A man can be disturbed by your silence and still not be ready to love you correctly. So when your silence starts shaking his comfort, do not immediately celebrate. Watch what comes next. Does he take accountability? Does he respect your space? Does he ask how he hurt you without making you pay for answering? Does he give you time? Does he change without needing you to supervise his growth? Does he protect your peace or does he only want his comfort back? That is the difference. A man who is convicted by his own conscience will approach you with humility. A man who is only bothered by losing control will approach you with pressure. One says, I understand why you needed space. The other says, so you're just going to ignore me? One says, I want to make this right. The other says, you changed. One says, I hurt you. The other says, you are too sensitive. One brings fruit, the other brings guilt. Now the difference. Because your silence should not be a door he can open with emotional language. Your silence is a boundary. And a boundary without discernment becomes a temporary wall around the same old wound. When you become silent, you must also become clear, clear about what hurt you, clear about what you will no longer accept, clear about what must change before access returns. Clear that love without respect is not enough. Clear that missing someone is not a reason to return to a pattern that made you lose yourself. There's another scene I want you to see. She has not texted him for days, not because she does not care, because caring almost destroyed her. She is trying to rebuild, trying to sleep, trying to eat, trying to stop checking. And then she sees it. He watched her story, then another one. Then another one, he says nothing, but he is watching, and the old version of her wants to turn that into a sign. He still cares. He still thinks about me. He is watching because he misses me. Maybe he wants me to reach out, but a woman of wisdom does not build a future out of a view. A man watching you is not the same as a man showing up for you. A man noticing your silence is not the same as a man respecting what caused it. A man checking your life from a distance is not the same as a man becoming mature enough to enter it correctly. Do not confuse observation with accountability. Do not confuse curiosity with love. Do not confuse him watching with him changing. Sometimes he watches because your absence disturbs him. Sometimes he watches because your healing challenges his ego. Sometimes he watches because the woman who used to orbit him has become unreachable. Let him watch, but do not let being watched pull you back into performing. Do not post to prove you are happy. Do not post to make him jealous. Do not post quotes hoping they cut him. Do not turn your healing into a stage where he remains the audience. That is still attachment. Real silence is not just the absence of messages, it is the absence of performance. It is when you stop living for his reaction. It is when you stop measuring your strength by whether he notices. It is when you stop needing him to regret losing you before you believe you are worth keeping. That is freedom. There is a reason silence is so difficult for a woman who has been emotionally attached. Silence feels like death at first. It feels like the connection is slipping away. It feels like if you do not speak now, he will forget you. It feels like if you do not explain one more time, he will never understand. It feels like if you do not answer, he will move on. But listen to me. If your constant effort is the only thing keeping a connection alive, then silence is not destroying the relationship. Silence is revealing that you were carrying it alone. That truth may hurt, but it will free you. A relationship that survives only because one woman keeps chasing, explaining, forgiving, adjusting, and hoping is not a partnership. It is emotional labor disguised as love. And a woman was not created to carry a grown man's accountability on her back. You can support a man. You can love a man. You can pray for a man. You can encourage a man, but you cannot become his conscience. You cannot become his maturity. You cannot become the only reason he treats you with basic care. That is not love. That is exhaustion. And many women are not tired because they love too much. They are tired because they keep loving in places where there is no reciprocity. Your silence is the moment you stop pouring. You stop pouring attention into absence. You stop pouring forgiveness into unchanged behavior. You stop pouring emotional explanations into a man who keeps calling your needs pressure. You stop pouring your future into someone who still treats commitment like a burden. And when you stop pouring, he feels the dryness. He feels the absence of what he did not honor. But more importantly, you feel your own life returning. That is the real miracle. Not that he starts thinking about you, not that he starts missing you, not that he starts wondering where you went. The real miracle is that you begin to hear yourself again, your own voice, your own breath, your own needs, your own dreams, your own body saying, I am tired of surviving someone else's inconsistency. That is when healing begins, not when he messages, not when he apologizes, not when he admits he was wrong. Healing begins when you stop waiting for the person who wounded you to become the proof that you are worth healing. You are worth healing even if he never understands. You are worth peace even if he never apologizes. You are worth love, even if he never learns how to give it. Your value does not rise when he comes back. Your value does not fall when he stays silent. Your value was already there before he knew how to mishandle it. Now act like it. Acts like a woman whose time is sacred. Acts like a woman whose peace is expensive. Act like a woman whose heart is not a place for emotional experiments. Acts like a woman who can love deeply without disappearing. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. The woman who stays silent for the right reasons becomes powerful because she is no longer trying to control his behavior. She is governing her own life. There is a difference. Manipulation says, I will be silent so he suffers. Healing says, I will be silent so I can recover. Manipulation says, I want him to chase me. Healing says, I want to stop chasing what hurts me. Manipulation says, I need him to feel what I felt. Healing says, I need to stop letting his actions decide my identity. One is about him, the other is about freedom. Choose freedom. Because if your silence is still centered on his reaction, then he is still the center. If you are silent but checking every hour to see if he noticed, he is still the center. If you are silent but posting quotes hoping he feels guilty, he is still the center. If you are silent but imagining his regret all day, he is still the center. Real silence moves him from the center. Real silence puts your healing in the center. It puts your peace in the center. It puts God in the center. It puts your future, your discipline, your body, your purpose, your friendships, your self respect back in the center. That is what makes silence powerful, not because it punishes him, because it restores you. There comes a moment when a woman realizes, I was not trying to save the relationship. I was trying to avoid the pain of letting go. That realization can break her open because suddenly she sees it. She was not always reaching out because love was healthy. Sometimes she was reaching because silence felt like abandonment. She was not always asking for closure. Sometimes she was asking for relief. She was not always fighting for the relationship. Sometimes she was fighting against grief. She did not want to face the empty space. She did not want to admit that the person she loved may not be the person who could protect her heart. She did not want to accept that potential is not partnership. She did not want to accept that chemistry is not character. She did not want to accept that memories cannot carry a future if the pattern keeps breaking the present. And I say this with compassion. Letting go hurts. It hurts in the body. It hurts in the chest. It hurts in the morning when your mind reaches for the old routine. It hurts at night when the silence gets loud. It hurts when a song opens a memory. It hurts when you remember the beginning before things became heavy. But pain is not always a sign you are making the wrong decision. Sometimes pain is the price of leaving a place your soul had already outgrown. Sometimes pain is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. And if you keep running back every time the bridge feels lonely, you will never reach the other side. So here is the action. When you want to break your silence, do not shame yourself. Do not call yourself weak. Do not hate your heart for missing someone. Take out your notes, drop the message you want to send, drop the anger, drop the sadness, write the questions, drop the part that misses him, drop the part that wants him to understand, drop the part that wants him to say he still cares. Then stop, write it back, and ask yourself one question. Am I trying to communicate or am I trying to stop feeling abandoned? If the answer is abandonment, do not send it. Breathe, drink water, wash your face, step outside, pray, call someone safe, let the wave rise, let it peak, let it fall. Because it will fall. No feeling stays forever unless you keep feeding it with action. Every time you survive the wave without betraying your boundary, you teach your body a new truth. I can feel pain and still protect myself. That is how emotional discipline is built, not by pretending you do not care, by caring without collapsing, not by pretending you are over him, by refusing to keep reopening the wound, not by becoming cold, by becoming clear. The woman who stops chasing does not become cold, she becomes clear. Clear women are often misunderstood by people who preferred them confused. When you were confused, you explained more. When you were confused, you tolerated more. When you were confused, you accepted less. When you were confused, he could keep you in the cycle. But when clarity comes, the cycle loses its power. You no longer ask, why is he acting this way? You start asking, why am I still available for this? That question is dangerous to every pattern that fed on your patience, because once you ask it honestly, you cannot unsee the truth. You begin to see that some of what you called love was fear, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that nobody else would understand you, fear that if you stopped trying, it would all fall apart. But if it falls apart when you stop carrying it alone, then it was already broken. You were just holding the pieces with your own hands, and your hands are tired. Put them down. Let what is unstable show itself. Let what is real remain. Let your silence separate love from dependency. Let your silence separate regret from transformation. Let your silence separate a man who values you from a man who only misses your availability, because silence reveals. It reveals him. It reveals you. It reveals the truth of the connection. A man who respects you will not use your silence as an excuse to disrespect you more. A man who is accountable will not punish you for needing space. A man who truly wants repair will not rush your healing because your distance makes him uncomfortable. He will understand that trust does not return simply because he is ready to be close again. Trust returns when the wounded heart feels safe again. And safety takes time. If he cannot honor that time, he does not want healing. He wants access. And access is not the same as love. Some men come back to the door because the house was warm, not because they learned how to stop setting fires. Remember that. There is a woman who needs to stop confusing being missed with being valued. A man may miss you because you made his life easier. He may miss you because you gave him emotional comfort. He may miss you because nobody else listens the way you did. He may miss you because your love was convenient. But being missed is not enough. You need to be respected. You need to be chosen with maturity. You need to be protected emotionally. You need to be met with consistency. You need a love that does not require you to become anxious in order to keep it alive. So if he comes back, ask better questions. Not, did he miss me? Ask, has he grown? Not, does he want me? Ask, can he love me responsibly? Not, is he emotional? Ask, is he accountable? Not, did my silence affect him? Ask, did my absence teach him, or did it only disturb him? Because disturbed men react, accountable men reflect. There is a difference. A disturbed man may send a message to regain control. An accountable man will speak with humility. A disturbed man may accuse you of changing. An accountable man will ask what his actions changed in you. A disturbed man wants the old access back. An accountable man respects the new boundary. Watch the difference. Your silence may bring him to the door, but your discernment decides whether the door opens. And sometimes the door must remain closed, not because you hate him, because your peace has finally come home and you refuse to evict it again. Peace is not what you find after he chooses you. Peace is what returns when you stop abandoning yourself, and peace must be guarded. There are women who will give up peace for one emotional message. They will give up months of healing for one night of nostalgia. They will give up clarity because he says, I miss you. But a woman who is truly awakened knows that missing someone is not proof they are safe. You can miss what hurt you. You can love what was not good for you. You can crave what your wisdom knows you must leave. That does not make you foolish, it makes you human. But being human does not mean being led by every feeling. Feelings are real. They are not always wise. That is why you need standards. Standards are what protect you when emotions get loud. Standards say, I will not return to inconsistency. Standards say, I will not accept an apology without changed behavior. Standards say, I will not confuse loneliness with love. Standards say, I will not let one good memory erase a painful pattern. Standards say, I can forgive you and still choose distance. That is a healed woman's language, not hatred, not revenge, standards. And standards will feel uncomfortable if you are used to surviving on hope. Hope is beautiful when it is attached to evidence, but hope without evidence can become a prison. It keeps you waiting for a version of him that only appears in your imagination. It, it keeps you loyal to potential while your present self keeps hurting. It keeps you saying, maybe one day, while your life quietly passes. Do not spend your years in the waiting room of someone else's maturity. If he is growing, you will see fruit. If he is changing, you will see consistency. If he is serious, you will see humility. If he is safe, your nervous system will begin to rest. But if all you have is words, memories, chemistry, and occasional warmth, then do not call that enough. You are allowed to need more. You are allowed to want peace. You are allowed to stop making excuses for the absence of accountability. When your silence begins to destroy the version of him that took you for granted, do not rush in to comfort that version. Let it die. Let the entitlement die. Let the carelessness die. Let the assumption that you will always be there die. Let the version of him that believed your love could survive without respect die. Because if there is ever going to be something new, the old pattern cannot remain alive. And if nothing new comes, then at least you are no longer living inside the old pain. That is still victory. Do not measure your power by whether he returns, Maborjit by whether you return to yourself. Did you sleep better? Did you stop checking? Did you eat again? Did your laugh come back? Did your body stop feeling like it was waiting for bad news? Did you remember your dreams? Did you stop shrinking your needs? Did you stop apologizing for having standards? That is victory. That is the kind of healing heaven sees. A woman rebuilding herself does not always look dramatic. Sometimes she looks like a quiet morning, a made bed, a clean room, a meal after days of anxiety, a walk without checking the phone, a prayer whispered with tears, a message written and not sent, a boundary kept even with shaking hands. Do not underestimate those moments. Those small private choices are the bricks of your new life. And one day, you will look back and realize you were not just being silent, you were being rebuilt. You were learning how to stop handing your peace to someone else. You were learning that your love is precious, but your life is precious too. You were learning that a woman can have a soft heart and still not be easy to break. That is the balance: soft heart, strong spine, open spirit, clear standards, no bitterness, no begging, no revenge, no self abandonment. That is the woman your silence is creating. And that woman cannot be easily controlled. She does not respond to every emotional pull. She does not confuse attention with accountability. She does not mistake a man's guilt for his growth. She does not let loneliness rewrite history. She remembers the whole truth, not just the good moments, not just the beginning, not just the sweetness, the whole truth, the tears, the waiting, the confusion, the way she felt small, the way she kept explaining, the way her peace became dependent on his mood. She remembers because wisdom requires memory, not to hate him, to stop betraying herself. Now, listen to this. When a man realizes your silence is real, he may test it. He may send something small. He may say, "Hope you are good." He may like a post. He may watch everything you do. He may send a memory. He may say, "I miss us." He may ask why you are acting different, and your old self may rise for a moment. Your heart may jump. Your hands may shake. Your mind may start building a future from one message: pause. Do not let your nervous system answer before your wisdom speaks. You do not have to respond immediately. You do not have to prove you are kind by giving instant access. You do not have to prove you are healed by being warm too quickly. You do not have to prove anything. If you respond from peace. If you do not respond, let that be peace too. Your response must come from your values, not your wound, because the old version of you responded to keep him. The new version of you responds only if it keeps you aligned with yourself. That is growth. And if he says your silence is hurting him, remember this: your silence is not the wound. His actions created the wound. Your silence is the bandage you finally stopped letting him rip off. A man may not like the consequences of his behavior, but consequences are not cruelty. Consequences are reality. If he wanted uninterrupted access to your softness, he should have treated it with care. If he wanted your constant warmth, he should not have kept making your heart feel cold. If he wanted your voice, he should not have taught you that speaking only led to dismissal. Your silence did not come from nowhere. It came from repeated moments where your words did not feel safe. So do not apologize for protecting yourself. You can be compassionate without being available. You can be respectful without being reachable. You can wish him well without reopening the door. That is maturity. Some women think they must stay accessible to prove they are good women. No, A good woman without boundaries becomes a tired woman. A loving woman without standards becomes a wounded woman. A forgiving woman without discernment becomes a woman who keeps returning to the same lesson. Your goodness needs guardianship. Your love needs wisdom. Your softness needs protection. Not everyone deserves to experience the healed version of you. Not everyone deserves the same access after showing you what they do with it. That is not cruel. That is stewardship over your own heart. You were not created to shrink yourself just to keep someone comfortable. You were not created to beg for tenderness from someone who understands your pain but keeps causing it. You were not created to live in emotional uncertainty and call it passion. You were not created to keep bleeding in the name of loyalty. You were created to love with wisdom, to forgive with boundaries, to heal with honesty, to stand with dignity, to become the kind of woman who can say, I may miss you, but I will not lose myself again. That sentence is freedom. I may miss you, but I will not lose myself again. Say it when the night gets heavy. Say it when the memory returns. Say it when the message comes. Say it when your heart wants to run backward. Say it until your spirit believes you, because the woman you are becoming will need your protection. She is not fully formed yet. She is learning. She is shaky some days. She still cries. She still wonders. She still misses the beginning, but she is rising. And you must not sacrifice her for familiar pain. Do not hand the new woman back to the old pattern. Do not make her start over because loneliness lied to you at midnight. Do not trade her peace for one emotional apology. Do not let nostalgia talk you out of clarity. Hold the line with grace, with dignity, with faith, because one day you will wake up and realize his silence no longer feels like death. His name no longer controls your chest. His absence no longer defines your worth. His return no longer feels like rescue. You will realize that you did not just survive the silence, you were shaped by it. You became calmer, clearer, wiser, stronger, not because he changed, because you did. And that is the part no one can take from you. The silence that destroyed his comfort also rebuilt your soul. It brought you back to the woman you were before confusion made you forget her. It brought you back to your standards. It brought you back to your peace. It brought you back to the voice that no longer begs to be heard by someone committed to misunderstanding it. And when you stand in that place, you become free. Free from chasing, free from proving, free from waiting, free from shrinking, free from needing his regret to validate your pain, free from needing his return to validate your worth. That is what your silence is really doing. It is not destroying love. It is destroying the illusion that love requires you to abandon yourself. It is destroying the old contract that said you must keep explaining, keep forgiving, keep hoping, keep waiting, even while your spirit grows tired. It is destroying the version of you that believed being chosen by him mattered more than being loyal to yourself. And if his soul feels that loss, then let him feel it, not because you are cruel, because truth has weight. Let him feel the space where your devotion used to be. Let him feel the quiet where your explanations used to live. Let him feel the absence of the woman he thought would never stop trying. And while he feels that, you heal, you rise, you rebuild, you return, because the greatest power of your silence is not what it does to him, it is what it gives back to you: your peace, your voice, your clarity, your dignity, your future. So when the next lesson comes, may it find you no longer asking, is my silence destroying him? May it find you asking the question that changes everything: is my silence restoring me? If the answer is yes, hold the line. If the answer is yes, protect the quiet. If the answer is yes, do not run back to the noise that once made you doubt your own worth, because the woman you are becoming is worth the silence. She is worth the discipline. She is worth the lonely nights that teach her she can survive without begging. She is worth the distance that brings her peace back home. And one day, when you are no longer waiting for him to notice, no longer counting the hours, no longer building hope from small signals, you will understand. Your silence did not destroy you, it delivered you.